Did you think that if you started taking your consulting business online by posting on LinkedIn or selling courses, the money would just follow? I used to think that too, but after helping a number of consultants scale their business online, I realized that's not the case for most people because they make 5 big mistakes that hold them back. Avoiding them is what separates successful consultants like him or like her from the countless people who never make the successful jump from offline consulting to a thriving digital business. So in this video, I'm going to show you what these mistakes are and how to fix them so that you can successfully establish your consulting business online. Starting with the first mistake, which if you can avoid it, will immediately put you ahead of most consultants online. And to show you how it works, let me ask you this. When you see an ad online, whether it's on YouTube, on LinkedIn, or Instagram, how long do you look at it to decide if this is interesting for you or not? Half a second, 1 or 2 seconds? If you're feeling generous, maybe 5 seconds? The point is not a lot of time, right? Now, when you look at any part of your digital presence, your LinkedIn profile, your website, any posts you wrote, how long does it take people to figure out if this is interesting for them? Meaning, how long does it take for them to know whether you can help them and what you can help them do? If your answer is anything longer than 5 seconds, we've got a problem, because it means you're expecting your potential clients to give you their attention for longer than you are willing to give others. Now, it's no wonder we fall into this trap as consultants, because we're used to promoting our business through networking and referrals, where we benefit from the trust that others already have for us or for someone that introduced them to us. So they're basically willing to give us the benefit of the doubt for quite a bit longer and listen to us explain how we can help them for maybe even several minutes. And there's another factor coming to our advantage in the offline world. We're usually only talking to one person at a time. So as a good consultant, you can tailor your message on the spot to who they are and what they need. You might learn that they're a small business in the furniture space, and you go, no way, I work with small furniture businesses all the time that need to cut costs in their manufacturing. You intuitively know that it helps to be specific and to make sure they can find themselves in your pitch. But this doesn't work online because there's no established trust. People only give you a few seconds and you're talking to many people at once. So here's how to fix this. I usually tell my clients to pick one target client and one target problem for their online presence and to plaster that everywhere so that wherever people find you first, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on your website, they immediately know what you can do for them. Now, if you're committed to building your consulting business online, I want you to do the 5-second test right now. Open your LinkedIn profile or website or whatever online marketing channel you use, and I want you to look at it for 5 seconds max. Close your eyes and say out loud what people know about your business after 5 seconds. Is that enough for your ideal client to go,
wow, this is interesting, I want to find out more?
Be honest. Bonus points if you ask someone else to do this test for you, because it's actually really difficult to assess this yourself. The second mistake is going to make you want to bang your head against the wall once you realize you're doing this. Yet, it's actually really common. And I think the best way to explain this is with a pendulum. As you grow your consulting business, you're going to swing back and forth between two problems: lack of demand and lack of supply. In the beginning, you probably have a demand problem because no one knows about your business yet. And then as you get the word out, hopefully you get busier and busier until at some point you're completely booked out with clients, you can't take any more, and at this point you have a supply problem. Now, where I see a lot of consultants make a mistake when they take their business online is that they have a demand problem. Either they've never been fully booked out, but more commonly they used to have much higher demand and for some reason the demand died down and now they don't have as many clients as they would like, and they're looking at the online space to try and bring it back up. Until here, that actually makes a ton of sense. If what used to work is no longer working, you should change something. Well done. But where a lot of consultants go wrong is that they try to solve this problem by putting out a digital offer like an ebook, a course, or a membership. These are more scalable offers that make sense if you're overrun with demand and you want to find a way to serve more clients in the same time. And if that's your problem, you're on the right track. But if you take this approach when your problem is that you actually don't have enough clients, you are essentially trying to solve the demand problem by increasing supply, and that doesn't work. Just because you're putting your offer into a newer, cheaper, more scalable format isn't magically going to make people appear that want to buy it. So how do you actually fix a demand problem? Well, there's basically two potential reasons why you don't have enough demand. Either not enough people actually have the problem you can solve, so you're offering something no one wants or at least doesn't want to pay for. But if you used to have demand that just broke down, what's more likely is you've exhausted your network, and all the other people who have the problem you can solve don't yet know that you can help them or that you exist because you haven't built up a reliable sales engine for your business. So you haven't figured out a repeatable system for what to do when you want to get new clients. So to say it point blank, you need to ramp up your marketing, not your offers. And the best way I know how to do this online is through content marketing, creating content that attracts your ideal clients, which I have other videos explaining how to do this in detail if you realize that's what you need to do. But the important thing is that you correctly diagnose your problem as a demand or a supply problem, and then either work on increasing demand through marketing and sales, or if you have marketing and sales covered, then you can work on increasing supply by scaling your offers. The third mistake is a bit like this. Imagine you're a world-class violinist and you show up to an open mic show. And as the show progresses, you realize that all the people before you are rapping. They're all world-class rappers. So when it's your turn, you decide to go on stage without your violin because you're also going to be rapping. But the thing is, you don't even know how to rap. Sounds like a bad choice, right? Well, that's essentially what you're doing if you're taking your consulting business online and you try to be just like all the other content creators while abandoning your unique competitive advantages as a consultant. Now, I know you're not doing this because you're stupid, right? You probably just didn't realize the unique advantages that you have and how to use them. So let me show you how you stack up against professional content creators, in what aspects you're likely weaker than them, and especially where you're stronger than them so that you can use that to gain an advantage. So content creators are obviously going to be much faster at creating content and making it a lot more polished, engaging, and optimizing for reach and entertainment. Well, I mean, you're just starting out, so you're going to be slower and it's going to take you longer to get to the same quality, much longer. If you even can reach it. But you have your deep consulting expertise, so you can actually add more substance. So because of that, you shouldn't compete on quantity or production quality, but on depth and insight. Another way where you are unique compared to the average content creator is you have deep experience solving complex problems with real clients. So use specific stories only you can tell and make your experience visible in your content. The typical, even educational YouTube video is often pretty informal and experience-based or a little bit improvised. While as a consultant, you're great at frameworks, at bringing structure. So show off your structured thinking and your frameworks in your content and lean into them. And you could even turn them into lead magnets. Then typically I see content creators specialize in a topic as their niche, and then they go more broad as they grow. As a consultant, that's the totally wrong approach because you're serving a specific client, a specific problem. So that's what we want to niche around and be hyper relevant to. And same if you look at audience and reach. Typical content creators want to build a big following and optimize it for a lot of growth. While as a consultant, you've hopefully built a smaller but high trust network in your industry. So create content like you're talking to those people, to your real network, because in the end you are. You want your audience to just become an expansion of that highly trusted network. Then your business model is also going to be different, since content creators are typically focused on selling ads and maybe they have some of their own products, but you have premium bespoke services that you can sell and that are proven in your business. They work for you. So let's keep selling them even when we go online. And finally, I often see content creators optimize for freedom, which means they actually don't want to do anything custom. They don't want to do one-on-one stuff. If they're doing it, they're trying to scale out of that as soon as possible. So if you're competing with them, a huge advantage advantage you can bring is to be willing to do those things, and you graded them too. So make access and customization a feature of your offers where you optimize for results, for getting your clients results, and not necessarily for freedom, which you can always do later once you've built up those skills and are able to compete with professional content creators on these other dimensions as well. So hopefully you can see how you have a number of advantages, even if you're new to the online business space. So please lean into that. And over time, as you become a better content creator, sure, you can compete more directly with them, but why make it harder than necessary from the start? Now, mistake number 4 sounds like this. I have a brilliant idea for a course. I've never made a course before. Now, I don't have an audience, but I know this is what people need. Let me spend the next 6 months building this course. If I just make it really good, I know that people will buy it. And this honestly sounds like most of my clients before I help them refine their strategy. It's classic, if I build it, they will come thinking. And I'm not even going to tell you that you're wrong about what people need. There's a good chance that you're right. This is one of your advantages as a consultant after all, that you have a direct connection to your clients and you know their problems inside out. So I'm not going to tell you not to build the course or the membership that you think the world needs, but I am going to help you de-risk it. First, let's look at the risks with this approach, and then I'm going to share several strategies you can use to lower these risks and increase your chances of a successful product launch. So what are the risks with this approach? The first risk is that you're wrong about what people want and need, meaning you spent 6 months building a product no one wants, which there's no other way to say this would be a total waste of your time and resources. The second risk is that your product sucks. So it might be an attractive offer that people want, but you spend these 6 months making a bad product that doesn't fulfill the customer's needs and expectations and doesn't get them results, which means to successfully sell this long term, you would need to rebuild the product and sort of, again, wasted 6 months. And by far the biggest risk I see with my clients is that your potential customers don't have any way of knowing about your course. So you spend 6 months building a product only to realize that building it doesn't magically get it in front of customers. All of these would be pretty bad outcomes after 6 months of work. But don't worry, there's a lot we can do to remove or reduce these risks and set you up for success. Here are the 6 de-risking strategies I use with my clients. The first strategy is to build an audience around the topic first. So before you build the whole course, you can start by creating some free content around the topic you want to create the course about and see if it resonates. And only if you start to see some traction with content on that topic, you start building the course. The second strategy is to sell something smaller first. So rather than spending 6 months developing an elaborate course, you could start with a workshop, a PDF, or a mini course on the same topic that you only spend, say, 2 weeks building before you can start selling it and finding out if people want it. And only when there's proven demand, you turn it into a bigger product. Third, you can build a wait list. So you tell people that you're planning to build this course and let them sign up for an email waitlist where they will be the first to know when it launches. This way, you can make sure you only build the course if enough people have expressed interest by signing up, and you even have a list of people to launch the product to who could become your first customers. Now, what speaks even louder than words? Well, money, which is why strategy number 4 is to pre-sell it. So you announce that you're thinking of building this product, and if people want this to exist, they can pre-buy it for, say, 50% off, and only when enough people have bought it, you spend the 6 months building the course, and otherwise you refund everyone. And what could be even lower risk than that? Building it live. So you pre-sell the course, ask your first customers exactly what they want from the course, and then you build it live for them over a couple of weeks so that you can put exactly what they tell you they want into the course. And you immediately get feedback and can address open questions rather than building the whole thing before you get any feedback. And why does this take so much less time? Well, because you're probably not going to build 90% of what you had planned to create, because you realize that's not what people want or need. And finally, whether or not you use these strategies to de-risk your launch, the one thing you definitely need to not hear crickets when you launch is to make a marketing and launch plan. The course won't sell itself just because you build it. So make a plan for how often you're going to talk about the course as you're building it, where you're going to talk about it, what you're going to say. Otherwise, you risk getting so focused on building it that when you reappear after 6 months, no one cares. Some people post about their project weekly while they're working on it. Some people decide to fully focus on building and go on a heavy promotional tour afterwards. Whatever you do, you need to have a plan. And a simple, mediocre plan is better than no plan. And the final mistake, I think, comes from a misunderstanding of how the online space works. Because you've probably heard that you need to have patience, that it takes a while from when you first start posting online until you see results. And that's true, but you can take this advice to the extreme, and I think that's what I'm seeing. Because I frequently come across consultants, especially on LinkedIn, but even on YouTube or Substack, who have been posting for months, sometimes years, and they're doing the same thing over and over and over again, but it's clearly not working, and they're still doing it. For example, I came across this consultant on LinkedIn who has 2,000 followers on her personal LinkedIn and about 50 followers on her company LinkedIn. She keeps posting about her business on her business page, not on her personal page where she has more followers, and the posts are getting like 3 likes on a good day. And there's hundreds of posts, but she's still going and nothing is changing. And I've seen this so many times, it's incredible. I respect the persistence, but I think these people are being led astray by this advice that you should stay consistent and keep going until one piece of content finally breaks through. Because there's a second piece of advice you need to follow along with consistency to make sure you don't fall into this trap, and that is that creating content online, yes, it's about consistently putting yourself out there, but it's also about consistently experimenting, learning, and improving. Without the improving part, this is not going to go anywhere. So that means figuring out what channels work for you, what kind of content performs for you, and what messaging attracts the right clients. So while growth online is definitely slow to start out and you need to stay patient, you still want the curve to slowly be going up, slowly be getting steeper. If it's stagnating, something isn't working yet, and it's time to experiment, learn, and improve. Now, if it feels a bit overwhelming to hear about all these mistakes you can make and you don't know where to start with building your digital business, don't worry. We can make it simple. I always recommend to start with creating content. You can get started with literally 15 minutes a week, and it will make the other parts of building a digital business much easier. It'll get you in the habit of experimenting, teach you more about marketing than any course ever could, and over time it can become a powerful sales engine that attracts clients and opportunities to your business that you didn't even know existed. Now, this is super simple but effective strategy you can use to kick things off. The same I'm using for this YouTube channel after learning some tough lessons with my first channel. So watch this video right here if you want a smart way to get started with creating content and avoid the biggest mistakes I made.